I started Angified Presents.
We share the love of music.
It has been medicine and therapy. Nothing else worked.
It has saved many of us. With mental health, we need to open our eyes.
Hurt people hurt people.
We ask that you listen, comprehend, and relate with your ears.
Form that heart of unity and one.
We share on this stage.
Statistics, feelings.
And ourselves.
We stand with the belief to be you, to be heard, and to be original.
We all may be different, with opinions and beliefs.
At the end of the day, we are all brothers and sisters.
We are family.
We ask that you join us in a magical journey with artists from around the world. Open your minds, let in the love,
and listen with your hearts.
We all want a better tomorrow. Be one.
Communicate and look out for one another. And then, and only then, will you find the world.
We will find peace in all the world.
You'll find the world. And you will find in this shining world. He was among us in every boy and girl. Many have been broken, red hearts turn black. Love will melt the ice and turn it back, and you will find the world. You will find the world. You will find the world. And when you find a place called home, where everyone is free to roam, a whole new world, a better place for our children's futures at stake. And you'll find, with music in your soul, laughter in your hearts, together we can grow a better place, with love in our soul. And you will find, together we can save it all. And you will find, a place called home, where everyone is free to roam. A better place, a whole new world for
Well, if you are a Periphery fan, you already know that they have released another music video to go along with their yet-to-be-released brand new album. And I have singer Spencer Sotelo in the studio with me to watch the video with me as I watch it for the first time. This is amazing. What am I gonna see?
So everything is real footage that you're about to see. Rod Chong is the director we worked with. He works for Race Services, and he's got a team that he had with him the whole time there at the studio we were shooting at. And what they did is they took all real footage and they superimposed it with AI prompting. I don't know the ins and outs of exactly how that works, and I don't think it's even really available to the public yet, what they're doing. But yeah, everything you're about to see is real footage. Me singing, everything in it, and it's just superimposed.
They filmed you, and are you filming in front of a green screen?
No green screen. A lot of it was filmed in front of an LED screen, and they created these backgrounds that go with the music and pulse with it and everything. They created all of that. And then there's also some shots where we used a projector as well.
Were you filming together with the band, or was it like you stood up and did your thing, and then you got Matt doing his thing, or was it?
There's actually no band performance in this. This is like the only Periphery video that we've all been in where there's no band performance at all.
But it's still real footage.
You'll see.
Okay.
You'll see.
All right. If you are interested in unpacking how Spencer does what he does vocally, and you want some killer warm-ups that Spencer uses before he goes to perform, before he goes to record in the studio, click the link below and join the free warm-ups course, Spencer Sotelo's Warm-Ups for Total Destruction.
That's right.
And you'll have a bulletproof warm-up routine to make sure that you're prepared to do all the extreme stuff you want to do with your voice. I'm sorry. So these are real pictures.
This is real footage
and real people.
Yeah, in real time. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Is this what they used in the most recent Linkin Park video?
I believe it is, yeah.
Huh. Clearly you, it's not like they've just sepia'd it, and is that even a word?
Yeah.
It's not like they put an effect over you. It's a re-rendering of
That's what
you.
it is, yeah. And so Rod asked for 30 pictures of 30 different headshots of every band member.
Mm-hmm.
And so like when I'm singing there and you see all these other faces coming in, some of those are actually other pictures of me that the AI is like rendering over it.
Oh, and that explains the jerkiness, but it's still so coherent.
It's I don't understand exactly what's happening, but it's fucking cool.
Okay, and on the vocal performance, so I've heard a couple other songs off this record so far and have just been floored by the presence and the way the vocals sit in the mix.
Thank you, man.
And I'm noticing it again on here. The mix is massive, but you can hear the nuances in every detail of your voice so well. And I think part of that, like even the way that you're going to different pitch. You didn't use any pitch correction on the lead vocals.
There's some on like backing vocals, and like you'll hear throughout the song there's other like weird vocal synth effects. There's like tuning all over that stuff.
Right.
But the main like raw like takes right down the center that are up in your face, like no tuning at all. Yeah.
Yeah, they're so sticky and I connect with them because you don't have that barrier of that tuning.
Yeah, I had a lot more time to play around on this record. So, I noticed, I would try and tune things, and going back without tuning, it's like all these little flavors and nuances pop through, especially like transitioning between notes, the things that are happening between the notes. That's where it makes the biggest difference.
I love the synth lines. Oh, that's creepy. Net groove.
These are all actors too that we have in here.
Ooh, how you landed on that. You landed on that note. So that's really, really awesome.
Thanks, man.
What are those text things coming in there?
I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't stopped it to read it yet.
Weird.
So I have no idea.
Oh man. So that's not you.
That's me. Well, I'm doing that.
Yeah, you're
but
doing
then there's
it.
all these other faces that are popping in and out.
That are not you, though.
That are not me. Yeah, I don't think. I don't think he used anything for me on that one. I think those are just
aged
random.
you 200 years and then put you in or something.
Who knows?
I mean, as usual, the blend of pop sense with the intensity is, it's just right on. I mean, it's what I would expect coming off a Hail Stand for
Thanks,
sure.
Man.
They so perfectly matched the way your tone of your scream evolves to the way the face is.
Right? And that wasn't me. That was one of the dancer actors. So like you see these people moving all over with like what looks like a phone, right?
Yeah.
So in the video, that was it was like a brick light. I think it was like one of their camera lights that they had set, and they made it look like a phone. But everybody's doing these choreography dances to the phone, and that was like one of the dancers that was in it, and he just happened to like mime what was happening there perfectly.
Well, and of course they're exaggerating it with all the AI stuff they're putting in, but that's the kind of thing that you can't pull out that kind of exaggeration with it's almost like I'm in that case, it was like I was watching a time lapse video, sort of. I had that same sort of reaction where, what exactly is happening here? Oh, there's something growing out of his face. So cool.
The street turning into a building.
Yeah, and the car turning into a face. Oh, that's so weird. What is that effect right there in your voice?
That's vocal synth 2.
Okay.
Isotope, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. There's a soulfulness in your voice that I don't think I've heard like this. You know, freedom, I think some of it maybe is the pitch correction or lack of, but the way you're landing on notes, I pointed that one out. There's this space and freedom around your voice that seems like you've grown a lot in that area.
I have, and I also just made the decision to, when the character really needs to come through and I really need to get my point across emotionally in the song, like I throw all technique and everything to the wind and just focus on what it's sounding like and how it's landing for the recording.
So you're not thinking about hitting certain pitches.
No.
You're not even necessarily planning certain melodies. Although the melodies you're repeating things well and they're catchy and stuff like that, but you're not going for pitch, you're going for feel.
Yeah, and even just like thinking about placement and like, you know, where everything's sitting at.
Yeah.
Throwing all that to the wind, you know, and I think a lot of it was just practicing these lines over and over before I record them as well. And maybe muscle memory has something to do with why I'm able to do that.
Yeah.
But not thinking about it and focusing more on just the emotion and letting myself feel it while I'm doing it.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go back and watch the video another 10 times just so I can get those text things.
So what I was saying to Chris is that I've seen the video probably about 10 times now. We've had the final for about a week, and I feel like I'm watching a new video every time I watch it. Like my brain doesn't know what to do with it yet.
Right. I mean, just things like the way that even like Misha's not in the video as much because he's not singing, but the way that his face morphs, and I don't know. I feel like I saw on that last Misha one where it was like, it's a little bit of Misha, a little bit of you.
Yeah.
I mean, are they even...
I think I've seen some shots, too, where when I'm singing, I see other band members' faces pop in over my... Or, like, parts of their face.
Blend in with your...
I feel like there was a point in the video, I caught this one of the times that I was watching it, that I felt like all of our faces were on my face at one time.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what Rod did. I'd have to ask him, but... Yeah.
And it doesn't even matter. I mean, the fact that we even sense that makes it all the... This is the kind of thing, like a good album, that you want to go back and watch so you can enjoy it in different ways.
Yeah.
I like that it has this semi-ambiguous story going on, too. So the other thing I think of is, if you've seen those videos on YouTube where they, I took a picture a day for 20 years and you see the transformation of the faces.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that pacing in some of those things right there,
Totally.
where things are changing so quickly. You see this evolution of something, but you're not quite sure what you're looking at.
It'd be interesting to figure out exactly how they use prompting to do all this stuff. Like, is some of it random or is it all very deliberate? I have no idea. Like,
Yeah.
This is such a new technology that, like, I don't think anybody really fully understands yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all real footage.
So crazy. I love these detached parts of Periphery songs too.
Little palette cleansers in between.
Oh, it's so great. And on the record, they're all running into each other.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Pretty seamless.
I read that one. Oh, cool. Yeah, what are they filming to get that?
They filmed the sun setting probably, and then zoomed it in, and then put it over other footage. Yeah,
in there.
Yeah, put the skyline of LA in there because that's where we shot it, was in LA.
So is this exhausting to make?
This was actually the easiest video that I've ever done personally. Like when we do other music videos too, like the guys have to play their instruments, and like Matt on the drums especially, like having to play it 40 times in a day, to get different angles and everything. With this, there was no performance involved aside from just, like miming the singing.
Yeah.
I probably did it 30 times. And they had me in place because they didn't want me to move away from the screens or anything like that. I had to be like center. So I wasn't really doing a lot of moving around. So I'd say for me, it was the easiest shot I've ever done.
So you guys flew out to LA and all the footage was done in an afternoon?
Yeah. I think we started at like 10 or 11 or something like that and ended at like 5 or 6.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very short. But it took them about a month to do all of the post-production stuff.
Well, it's so on par with how I feel like Periphery's releases are in general. You're always doing something that's new and further out than other bands, I mean, especially in the genre, are doing, right? Like, you're one of the first people to offer the isolated stems and stuff for people to get and play with, and I mean, there's not a lot of bands that are that transparent and open with what they do.
Well, I think we just, we like to keep our fans engaged, and we also like to do things that are new for us as well, to keep it fun for us.
Yeah. Wow. Well, while I have you here, talk a little bit about the Wildfire video. and compare it with making this. I mean, I know it was a lot different, obviously, because of real performances. And
yeah, it was a lot different, and it took a lot longer. That was like a 10-hour shoot or something like that.
Yeah,
and everybody was there, so it was a bit different. But for this, like you see shots of the other band members, they weren't there. Like Misha was there, but he didn't have any camera time. The other guys did not fly in for this.
Oh.
They just all sent in pictures of themselves.
Oh, so you were the only guy who flew in.
I was the only person on camera that did, like, everything else. When you see the band member shots, those are superimposed, that, like, either me or other actors that were there with the faces put over them.
So that would make sense why we were seeing if Misha was moving or whatever. That was probably you moving.
Me or one of the other actors, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, for the Wildfire video, we were all in one room.
Right.
We did different sets and had multiple cameras on us at all times to get different angles. And there's just a lot more that goes into having a performance video like that.
Yeah.
Because you have to get so many different nuances of like Misha playing guitar, Jake playing, they're all playing different parts, having different camera angles on all of them,
And you're playing the song live to the studio recording.
Yes.
And you have to be keenly aware that all these nuances are being recorded.
Yeah.
Especially for, I mean, yeah, you want to make sure that you're playing the guitar lines like they are on the record and stuff, but that's got to be especially difficult for the vocals.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just miming them. So I'll engage all the muscles and everything to make it look like I'm doing it. But if I had to do that for 10 hours in a day, my voice I'd probably lose my voice forever.
Sure. I know, though, whenever I try to mime, I'm a very bad mimer because I can't ever sing it the same thing twice, especially if I start getting really engaged in the performance and the energy, like using all the muscles. The timing is so off. It doesn't look like I'm singing. It might from an intensity point of view, but I can't get it to look or shape like the original performance.
That's something I try and keep in mind too, like the shape of my mouth and what my eyes and my facial muscles would be doing, not just here.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, this is so cool. Be sure to go check out the full video without interruptions if you haven't already on Periphery's YouTube channel. Thank you for being here and going through this and giving me all the insider information as I see it. That's so awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Again, more coming from Spencer. Again, if you want to be kept up to date with some of the new things coming out from Periphery and for Spencer over the next few months, and you want help with warming up, click that link below and join the free warm-ups course, Spencer Sotelo's Warm-Ups for Total Destruction. We'll see you there. Hey, Chris Liepe here. Last week, a good friend of mine and fellow collaborator Spencer Sotelo, lead singer of the band Periphery, was out here, and we were doing some course stuff, and he was showing me the new album. Through the course of our conversations, he said, "Have you ever heard of Sleep Token?" I was like, "Yeah, I've heard of them, but I haven't given them a listen." And he goes, "Oh, you've got to check these guys out." And he gets his phone, and he starts pulling up stuff, and I said, No, don't do that. Let me check it out myself, and I'll put it on the channel. I'm finally checking out Sleep Token. If Spencer says that Vessel's voice is awesome and worth exploring, it's gotta be awesome. I'm not only going to give you my first impressions from the song Vor, but I'm going to give you my initial vocal analysis, because this is a singing channel. I teach people how to sing, largely through pulling from the inspiration of singers I love and you love too. But you can't really pull inspiration from these singers if you don't have a good, solid foundation. If you like that solid foundation, like to learn how to support your voice correctly and free it from the constraints of self-doubt and comparison, click the link below and join my free voice course, and I'll help you get started. Love the pitch variation in his scream. I love that there's this grounding in a particular arbitrary pitch behind it. Listen again here. There's that note, and then he's abandoning into the scream and kind of coming down to that note. But he's able to really delicately change that pitch center of the scream. And able to take that really high. Ooh, that's a neat texture. Ooh, some melody. I hear a little bit of Maynard in there. That mellow, sort of somber sound that he's got. It's warm. Loved the sound of that harmony coming in there, too. It's always so fun to discover a vocalist that's got a really unique screaming timbre, but also has an incredibly unique sounding voice. This is why I like Spencer Sotelo so much, because he's got these two different worlds that he lives in so well and blends them together. I think I'm going to like this guy. Going in and out of his head voice there and intentionally flipping it. That is hard to do well. It's really done stylistically well here. Yes! Transition up into that lighter voice. It's tough to tell. I'm going to have to listen to it again. It's tough to tell exactly what's happening from a timbre and placement perspective because his voice is kind of low in the mix. They've done that on purpose. It's the mix surrounds him, and it's a great sound, but it hides the detail of the voice a little more than I'd like. Nice strong belt, and then he releases up into this lighter voice that sounds mixed to me. Again, a difficult thing to do, but he's seamlessly blending his resonances together. Listen again on that ascent. That actually, upon another listen, it actually sounds a little bit lighter to me. And it's super straight. And there's some layering going on. What a great job transitioning from his warmer voice to a lighter yet equally intense upper register. There's that neat dipping down into true vocal cord engagement there. pharyngeal position to get that darker, warmer. There's a bit of yawn. Myself. And then that wonderful, warm, engaged chest voice below it. I love the layering. Notice how the tones match each other so well? A lot of times when vocalists are singing an octave apart from themselves, you'll get this detachment of, even though it's the same vocalist, you get this, for once, this sort of character up here, and then you'll get, for once, a different character down there. But he's able to get the same vibe, the same character, and this tonal relationship in both resonances at the same time.
So let's get
That's a neat phrasing idea. How he sighed from note to note. The joy is in the nuances of the vocalists that really grab your attention. The upfront tone is great, but how they navigate strategically and expressively through different notes. So that time, ever go. I felt like he transitioned, and maybe did this the first time too, but here there was a more clear delineation between his chest and his head, or that light mix resonance he's got going on there. What a pleasant and freeing sound. Production they have around his scream. There's this distortion on it, and there's this EQ, this band limited sort of sound that is bringing out the mid-range in his scream like it wouldn't be if it was unadulterated. They've placed it really well in the mix. I feel like they've done an equally good placement with the vocals, although like I said, being a vocalist, I like to hear more, especially out of the singer sections. I like to hear those levels goosed a little bit. It'd be really neat to get my hands on the isolated vocals so I could really study the nuances of what he's doing. But great mix, great sound. We'll call it the moan scream, where he's going into his upper chest and then abandoning into those crazy, rangy, pitchless screams. What a cool and unique sound. Of course, I've heard other people do similar things, but with the unique timbre of his voice and how he's able to get that thin mix and that powerful belted chest and then go in and out of that scream, that's a pretty unique sound to my ears. I'm looking forward to digging into more Sleep Token. Thank you, Spencer, and the countless people who have also commented on the YouTube channel. Get familiar with Sleep Token. I'll dive into more. Chris Liepe here. My hope is that the videos I do here on YouTube are helping you make better music. Singing, guitar playing, recording tips. And I've been asked a number of times since I started doing this channel to give a studio tour. And I thought that was a great idea. But I want to do the studio tour in a way that doesn't just show you what my room and what my gear is like, but that goes through why I made the decisions to set it up like I did. And that will help you guys in setting up your own home studio. This basement home studio consists of 2 rooms, this main control room area that you've seen on many videos, and the tracking room that is directly behind me. It's a small tracking room and has been largely taken over by my 6-year-old drumming son. But that room is also used when I'm tracking any other musician, primarily vocalists. If I have another vocalist come in to lay something down on a jingle or a theme song that I'm working on, I'll put them over there, and then I have the ability to listen and edit, and like a real recording studio. The hub of my studio is built around an iMac 2015 27-inch with 32 gigs of RAM, and I have an Apogee Ensemble interface, which I'll talk more about in a minute. I use Logic Pro and I use Live, Ableton Live. For radio, voiceover, I use a lot of Adobe Audition. In my free recording course linked below, I go over the strengths of each of those DAWs and why I choose to use each one for a specific purpose. Since I do radio and creative music, YouTube videos, jingle writing, all of those things require slightly different feature sets, and that's why I use so many different DAWs. This is the Apogee control software that allows me to route different signals different places, and the Apogee interface goes into my computer via Thunderbolt. That's this bottom guy right here. And I do most of my monitoring through this PreSonus central station. I've got 3 different sets of monitors in my studio. I've got the M-Audio DSM-1s, which they don't make anymore, but I love them. Those are my primary monitors. Then I've got the middle size ones are Best Buy Special that are hooked up to a regular consumer receiver underneath my desk. And then I've got those Tenoys, which are real cheap speakers. And primarily, I would say 80% of the time, I'm working off the DSM-1s. They sound great. They're nice and balanced. I'm really familiar with how they respond in this room. But because we all know that different listening environments expose different things in mixes, I have these other speakers that are more like what would be placed around my house, maybe more like what I'd hear in the car, and I can switch back and forth. And the PreSonus central station allows me to do that. I have them wired up so that speaker A is my DSM-1, speaker B are the Best Buy Specials, and speaker C are the Tenoys. And I'm able to adjust the trim levels so they're all right where they need to be. I can also go to mono real easily and listen. The central station also manages my headphone mix and my talkback to the other room. The Apogee has the talkback functionality and it has the ability to do multiple speakers, but I like the tactile upfront nature of having a separate monitoring thing in the central station. It was harder to get to in the Apogee, and I like being able to go over there real quick and press buttons. My main preamp for speaking, as well as direct bass, and I love it for direct guitar as well, is the Avalon 737 SP. I've had that thing for, 12 years now, and I discovered it when I was at Sweetwater as a studio engineer there. and I love the sounds. The compressor is forgiving, not terribly responsive, but great for spoken word and great for milder vocals. And you can see I've got, I'm talking through it right now actually. You can see my compression settings. I use for speaking a decent amount of compression, and I boosted the high end and the low end and cut the mids just a little bit. For most of my aggressive vocals, I'm going through the manly core, and you've seen, if you've been following the channel, you've seen me do other videos with that guy. The manly core has a built-in limiter circuit as well as a 3-to-1 fixed ratio optocompressor. And that thing is amazing for being able to do real quiet vocals and real loud vocals, real aggressive vocals, and still having a decent waveform come into your DAW. But it's more than that for me. Interacting with a hardware compressor and hardware limiter when I'm doing aggressive vocals really helps me play to the mic or sing to the mic in a way that feels like it's part of my voice. It's tough to really articulate without someone having already experienced it. But if you can get in and whisper into a mic and then yell into a mic and then interact with the tubes and interact with the compressor and the hardware that's in there, it's different than interacting with software. So Avalon for more mild stuff. I also love the Avalon for acoustic guitar. But for anything real aggressive, man, that Manly is my go-to preamp for those sorts of things. You can also see my record player over there, and that thing moves around the house depending on the different listening moods that I'm in. But I still really enjoy putting it in the studio and listening to some of my favorite albums that I feel like sound better on vinyl. I love listening to this one, mastered from the original tapes and put on vinyl. Soundgarden's Down on the Upside. An original pressing of The Joshua Tree by U2. Can't go wrong with that. And then, although this isn't originally released on vinyl, this album on vinyl sounds great. Nice and bass rich, and I like the vibe that it gets. I also use the record player in the studio for some effects and some limited amounts of sampling that I do in some of my music, and you'll hear some of that as this channel progresses as well. All of my routing is held together with a patch bay. And a lot of studios this size maybe don't use a patch bay, but before I had one, I got so sick of crawling behind my desk or rerouting cables at the component level that I thought the patch bay really is going to be one of the main tools of the studio, and it has been. The bottom row of the patch bay represents all of the feeds from the various input sources. So the number 18, for example, which is connected with the yellow cable, is the output of the Avalon. And it is being fed, as you can see, into channel number 3 with the yellow cable. It is being fed into channel 3 of the Apogee. And with a very simple adjustment, I can move that yellow cable from channel 3 to channel 4 and switch the mic that I'm talking into right here from the Avalon to the Manly, just by moving it from 3 to 4. I don't have to do anything else. And then the other bottom connectors are coming from the other room, and I have an 8-channel snake going through the wall into the patch bay that allows me to patch that room, have it isolated. It's super cool. I keep my main guitars directly behind me so I can grab them and use them at a whim. I've got a Fender American Deluxe Telecaster, a Fender American Jazz Bass, an Ibanez S-Series Prestige, Tacoma Acoustic, and a Fender American Deluxe Stratocaster. And for all my keyboard stuff, I have this CME 88-key weighted keyboard controller. There are no sounds that go through there. Instead, I trigger everything from Live or Logic, so it's just a MIDI controller. But it feels like a real piano, which I really appreciate since piano was my first instrument. My room is treated with various RLX kits. I use the RLX diffusers, the RLX bass traps, and their foam. And I've got them placed around the studio in various designer ways to make it look good. But the main thing that I want to consider when I'm treating a room like this that's pretty much all drywall, like most basement or finished basement studios, is that I want the foam, I don't want to over foam. I want my foam to be killing opposing hard surfaces. So if I've got foam on one 2x2 area of a wall, the other wall isn't going to have that area foamed. It's going to be the regular wall. So it's like opposing checkerboards, kind of. What's soft on one wall needs to be hard on the other wall. And then, of course, you round out the corners with bass traps, and your diffusers should be in the back of your studio, like mine are as well. As you can see in the camera angle behind me, all the sound coming from the monitors goes back there and gets diffused. It bounces off, not directly back to the listening position. I hope you've enjoyed this studio tour. Please let me know if you have any questions, if I can answer anything else for you. And I hope that this inspires you to maybe revisit your home studio setup and be inspired to set things up in a way that encourages creativity. We'll see you for more. Hey, Chris Liepe here. I've shared on this channel before ways to help set up your microphone signal chain and your effects for being comfortable when you're singing. But another huge factor when it comes to being comfortable in the studio when you're laying down a vocal track is the right set of headphones. And there's so many options out there, and there's quite a few schools of thought when it comes to singing with the right pair of headphones. But I'm going to share with you what has worked best for me and what has really made me uncomfortable, so that when you go to choose a pair of headphones to sing with, that you're able to set yourself up for success. For more vocal recording tips and recording tips in general, be sure to check out my free recording course linked below. And if you want to take your voice to the next level, if you want to free your voice, learn what it means to really sing with freedom, be sure to click the other link to my free vocal course. Well, let's start with the headphones that pretty much everybody probably has, and those are earbuds. Are they good for singing with in the studio? Some people think so. These are kind of nice for a couple reasons, although they're not my go-to choice, and they tend to trip me up more often than not. The thing that's good about them is that they don't block out external sound. They don't block out the room. I hate headphones when I'm singing that block out all the room, because I feel like my voice is trapped in my head. I feel like I hear resonances that I wouldn't want to necessarily hear because I don't get a sense for the setting that I'm in. So these do a good job of that, but they do it at the expense of letting quite a bit of sound out of the headphones. And so if you're singing with these things and you're belting it, or you're singing quiet or whatever, you need to have a fair amount of volume going through these things in order to hear over your own voice, because remember, they're not blocking out the room, so you're going to hear your loud voice in the room. And when you crank these things, you get lots and lots of vocal bleed into your mic. And not only, I mean, headphone bleed. You get vocal bleed, but you get headphone bleed into your vocal mic. And that means that if you have a click track going that you're going to mute in your eventual mix, you're going to hear that high frequency sort of thing happening, because these are bleeding into your mic. You don't want that. The other thing that I don't like about these is that while some of them sound pretty good, they don't provide an immersive enough sound. It's a small sound, meaning they don't give me a good sense for the lows or the real highs. They're good at the mid-range, which is where my voice is, but I prefer a more immersive sound, a more balanced sound, and a lot of times earbuds don't cut it. High-end Bluetooth headphones. These things sound great. They cut out noise if you have them in the right mode, and there's no wire. What could be wrong with those for singing? Well, because they're Bluetooth and because they're a wireless technology, they introduce latency, a delay between when the music actually plays out of your recording equipment and when you actually hear it. Now, a lot of newer models have really dialed down that latency. It's not so bad. but it's still noticeable. When you're trying to nail that vocal performance, the last thing you want is a great pair of headphones that's playing everything to you late. These do a great job of blocking out ambient sound also, which is great for entertaining, or great for entertainment, but it's lousy for when you're singing. You want the environment when you're singing to be quiet anyway. You want the sound of a good room. You want your voice to sound good in the room, and you want to hear that. You don't want that blocked out. So you certainly don't want to use the artificial noise reduction on here if you do use them. That only introduces more latency. Some models of wireless headphones like this have a wired option where you can plug them in and not use the Bluetooth. And that works pretty well with these. The only thing is they still block out too much of the room. You've heard me talking about wanting to hear the room when you sing, so you really wouldn't want to use these. These are muffs as well as headphones. Great for drummers. They really help block out the outside sound. And they help you hear what's coming through the mics. If you don't want any mic bleed or headphone bleed into the mic, these are a good option. But it drastically hurts my performance when I'm using these. Now, if this is all you have, or the headphones that you have that are nice don't allow you to hear the room like you want to be able to, you can do this. You've probably seen a lot of people recording with one ear off. This is really the next best thing. Although with headphones like this, I still hear a vibration over here while the headphones block out the room noise from this ear, but I can still hear and get a context over here. So if you don't have any other option, this is good. But go to a store where you have lots of options, or order a couple and try them and make sure you can hear the room. But it's amazing how many don't do what these headphones do. These are AKG K240 studio headphones. I've got several pairs of these. And for singing, these are my ultimate favorite. They don't sound the best. They don't sound as good as the Bose or even some of the other studio headphones that I've got. But they allow for a very good awareness of the studio environment, while at the same time providing an immersive sound, and the headphone bleed from them is pretty good. You still have to watch it a little bit. It's way better than earbuds, way better than a traditional open ear headphone design, because they're still closed ear. Ultimately, you're going to have to make the decision by trying them on, doing some listening, and find out what works for you. But you have a greater idea of what to look for in a pair of headphones, specifically to use with singing. You want them to be an over-the-ear design so that they minimize headphone bleed, yet they allow you to hear the room. You don't want to block out the room. You want them to have a balanced, dynamic sound, one that isn't limited, one that's true to the sound of the recording without being too hyped or too flat. You want them to have a wire so that you don't suffer from latency issues, delay issues when you're trying to lay down that ideal vocal take. Hope you've learned a lot. Again, if you want to learn more about recording or singing, be sure to check out the links below. We'll see you for more.
We will be back in a few minutes, ladies and gentlemen, with the upside of hurt. We're going to cut stream, and then we'll see you back in a few minutes.